Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Scribes and Scrolls, the Candlekeep Mysteries, and this is our Interlude 9. And I am super excited for this one for a couple of reasons. One, we've got M. M, this is the first time we get to look at a one-on-one with you since you joined the campaign this year. And we were talking off stream about the fact that Em and I had conceived of doing one-on-one D&D sessions together like 3 or 4 years ago, and never actually got it off the ground. But that was the genesis for these, so I'm excited that you and I are going to get to do this tonight. The other reason I'm excited is because M is playing a secondary character, because within the first few weeks of joining, Togo got petrified. We're going to look at both characters. So this will be a little unique too. This is called For Laughs, For Luck, and For the Unknown. 500 imaginary experience points to anybody that can tell me without cheating what the title is a reference to. Also, a note I probably should have mentioned right off the bat: this is pre-recorded. We are not live now, so this is right about the time where myself and any others that are watching will probably, in the future for us, will say hi in the chat. So hi, future Jake, and anybody else. We will be keeping an eye on things in the chat. That does also mean that there will not be domain dice in play, domain tomes in play for this session. You will not have those available. But if you, the audience, do want to contribute, future Jake will put the chat command in so you can see what domain dice do, and those will be awarded when we return in January with our live games. By the time you are watching this, you will have already seen Interlude 7 with Doc and Interlude 8 with Tira. That means next week will be Interlude 10 with Mizya and Dwight. And wrapping things up will be Interlude 11 with Ricky and looking at Vornushka, who is a relatively new character that he is playing. So we're very excited about this. I'm also excited because this gives us a chance to take the month of December off. Aside from presenting these for you on Mondays, MTD is, of course, not live streaming anything unless I decide to jump on with painting streams or something. But it's a time for us to rest and recuperate, heading into the new year, enjoy the holidays if that's something that people celebrate, whatever. So I for one am finding it to be very enjoyable to have this time off. It's a very wonderful mental health break, which leads me into the final announcement that I want to mention, which is, of course, talking about mental health, as we always talk about before we play these games. Mental health is super important, and it is something that we value very much here at MTD. I've been very open and honest about my own struggles. It warms my heart to hear when people, occasionally I get messages from people that say that they started seeing a counselor or they had their first therapy session because of the message they hear here. So I will not stop doing this. It's super important. So if you are somebody that is struggling, know that you are not alone, and that it is, first and foremost, it is okay to not be okay, but you do not need to struggle alone. If you want to get help and you're not sure where to go, just type !help in our chat. You'll also see the message appear at the bottom of the stream, as it apparently has started doing while I'm talking about mental health. But doing so will bring up a couple URLs. Findahelpline.com and takethis.org's growing list of resources. They are excellent places to go. Encourage you to visit those websites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, I think it's time to play some Dungeons and Dragons. For our first part of this interlude, we are going to be taking a look at Togo. We find ourselves, imagine, if you will, a POV camera flying through the air over a darkened forest at night. The only illumination coming from the crescent moon that is rising up over the treetops, until we come to the darkened grounds, or nearly darkened grounds, of a place that is familiar to most of us, the audience, the Temple of the Restful Lily. Specifically coming around to what remains of the shrine to Sune, except now the mysterious material that was blocking all the doors has been cleared, and the windows, and our camera view flies in through the open front doors. We see a few candles that have and torches that have been lit, and that there is some sort of restoration taking place. The statue of Sune has been cleaned up. The interior of this place, with all of its broken mirrors, the broken glass, has been cleaned. We continue past the statue of Sune, down the winding stairs into the room below, which has a pool and the remains of some large statues that have broken apart. Most of their debris, what can be easily removed, has been removed. But at the far end of the pool, there stands what looks to be a very intricately carved statue of a turtle paladin in a heroic action pose, having just hurled a javelin from his outstretched hands. But we know that that's not the case. This is not a carved statue. This is Togo, who has been petrified by the Gorgon, the Medusa, and is currently forever stuck like this until a cure of some kind can be found. Candles are burning down around the base. You can see that several candles have burned to their quick and been replaced. There's a growing pool of wax, and even now there is an individual huddled in the corner that is sitting vigil this evening, the form of a crouched Goliath by the name of Vaughn Reed, who sits, his head sort of nodding occasionally as he succumbs to sleep. We move closer to the statue, moving up to the face of the turtle, frozen, etched in stone, a look of concentration on his face as he was throwing that javelin. We seem to push in through that stone eye, moving through the stone into a place of darkness. What seems to be a void. There stands but one thing currently visible in this void, illuminated from a light source that is not visible, but this particular location is very well lit. A gargantuan version of this petrified Togo stands towering over two figures that are seated at the feet of this statue. One of them is a young Togo, a young turtle. There is somebody important to Togo that is sitting across from him. Who is this person that would be a mentor or family member or whomever? Who is this person?
I think this would be Ida, who is Togo's mother. Um, she has these very common clothes, home sewn together. She always smelled of cooking of some kind, soups, breads. Everywhere she went, she always brought that comforting smell with her. And it's something that Togo, no matter what, would immediately realize.
Togo, you are probably around 10 years old in this memory. As the camera moves in closer and we see that this 10-year-old Togo is sitting across from Ida, your mother. We see that she holds in her lap a stone mortar and pestle, and she is grinding flour and has a few other ingredients. And she reaches over and she just sort of guides young Togo's hands, who also holds a smaller mortar and pestle. And as she guides his hand, she dips a clawed finger into the flour and holds it up and just blows it so it kind of dusts Togo's, the beak of Togo's nose. Well, where was I? Oh, yes. Did you want to hear the story about Taiki today?
You see whatever muscles are in a tortoise space kind of scrunch up at that flowering with a mama as Togo moves to wipe off the flower. You've told me that story 5 million times. But then he stops. But it is my favorite. And he kind of settles in and tries to mimic whatever she's doing, clearly doing it much more sloppily than she does, trying to, kind of getting that the grinding up over the lip of this mortar and pestle and dropping most of the things that he's trying to grind up in there.
And you see that she gives you that look that she knows that you're trying. But you also notice that she barely pays attention to what she's doing. She does these motions through muscle memory as she reaches and grabs more of the wheat to grind and is sort of, transferring things. And without you even having to ask, occasionally she puts more wheat into your mortar and pestle as well. And she says, all right, well, as we've said before, this story takes place before the Dawn Cataclysm. Back then, there was but one goddess of luck, and her name was Taiki.
Yay! You see as Togo preemptively claps at this part.
Now, ever flirting with fortune and disaster, Lady Luck bestowed and withdrew her favor at a whim. When her current paramour, that is, the person that she was in love with, Lathander, started a fight among the gods. Tyche kissed the Morning Lord with misfortune and wandered off to explore the world. Now, during her travels, Lady Luck discovered a budding rose of unequaled beauty. Now, delighted with this fortuitous happenstance, Tyche reached out to pluck this delightful token, which she assumed was a peace overture from Lathander, who sought to regain her good graces. Much to her amazement, Lady Luck could not pluck that rose from its bush no matter how hard she tried. Frustrated, she cursed the rose with bad luck, and the flower stem broke in her hands. Tyche put the plucked rose behind her ear and continued on her way. Unknown to Tyche, the rose was a manifestation of Moander, god of corruption and decay. The severed rose stem crept into Tyche's ear and subtly began to rot her from the inside out. And when Tyche returned home, she came across her dear friend, the goddess Selune, waiting to speak with her. Also waiting for her were the Thander, who wished to regain her affections, and Azuth, who had come to mediate the dispute between the two. That means he was going to kind of preside over between the two of them. Selune wept great tears when she saw the corruption destroying her friend from within, and before Tyche could discern her intent, Selune lashed out with a bolt of purifying light. Tyche's rotted corpse split down the middle, and a smaller, brighter version of the Goddess of Luck stepped out, allowing the Goddess of the Moon to save that which was good and pure in her friend. However, following this first figure out of the rotten shell was another form stunning to behold, but full of dark malice and capricious ill will. As the two forms emerged, they immediately fell upon one another in hate, struggling madly, separated only by the combined efforts of all three of their visitors. Now, it's said that Tymora, Tyche's fair-haired daughter, embodies all the grace and kindness of her mother, while Bashaba, Tyche's unpleasant daughter, got only her looks. Since their birth, the twin aspects of Tyche, Tymora, Lady Luck, and Bashaba, Maid of Misfortune, have battled each other, contesting matters as great as the fate of nations and as small as the flipping of a coin. And as she says this, she reaches up, and from behind Togo's ear, she pulls a gold coin. Do you think Tymora's luck will be with us on this one? And she flips the coin up in the air. Coin is flipping through the air. Pick a die, any die, and roll it. And tell me if it's an odd or an even.
Okay. Even.
We see the coin come flying down and landing into the open palm of a much older Togo. Fingers clasp around the coin for a moment. How old is Togo at this time? And what memory of yourself are you now gazing upon?
I think Togo is no longer a child, but a young teenager, or mid teenager, I would say. And he holds this coin in his hand as he is returning home. He is beginning his journey away from home, away from his parents, just for a day or so. This is the first time he's been out alone by himself on some type of errand for his mother. And he is fully smiling, and as he's flipping the coin, he doesn't see the darkness in the sky, the clouds, the almost greenish, darkish hue of these thunder clouds kind of rolling in as he is whistling to himself as he walks down the path.
And having just flipped this coin, it now lies clutched in your hand. You can look at it if you wish. Go ahead.
Yeah, he always does. He always looks at it every time.
And unsurprisingly, the coin has landed with Timora's face up. Of course, that is the sign you would hope to see, and the sign you see more often than not. And along with the scent of the ozone in the air of distant lightning charging between the ground and the sky, and that smell of the approaching storm, you catch a whiff of some of Mama's baked bread. You realize Mama slipped a couple extra loaves in. And as you merrily whistle along, you notice at some point, as the storms that are brewing off in the distance never quite seem to make their way to you. They just linger off in the distance. Where is Togo heading?
I think this particular errand has Togo delivering some scrolls, some paper. I think that his mother and father, his parents, one of the things that they did was they made parchment and other types of paper to deliver to local businesses and around. So he has been entrusted to make the parchment delivery.
Okay. And this is something that is generally about a 4-day journey. So it's a pretty big deal that you're being entrusted to head out and handle this and be out and away for a few days. How does Togo feel about this overall? Being entrusted with this task?
It's something that he is nervous about. He has always been home. He's always been around his family. So the first time, and he's done this trip, I can imagine, hundreds of times with his father. But this being the first time by himself doing it, he can feel himself almost second guessing as he comes to a very familiar fork in the road. He looks left and right. Well, I remember. Oh, no, was it left? Why can't I remember this time? And he says, Timora, I need your help again, as he flips it, the coin again.
And as the coin flips through the air, first roll me a coin and tell me if it's odd or even.
It's odd.
Okay. As the coin is flipping through the air, you hear a rustling in the bushes, right at the middle of the fork. Something's in there. You hear a bit more rustling. It's something a bit bigger, because you see the bushes are moving quite a bit.
I think Togo has brought some type of maybe wooden club or something rudimentary with him as he kind of holds on to it. He doesn't bring it out quite yet, but he holds on to it, thinking it's some type of animal. He kind of crouches a little bit, trying to see in the bushes, and it's all right. You can come out.
Make a perception check.
That is a 17.
As you crouch down and say this. There is a sudden explosion outward of brambles and twigs and branches as a figure that was in this space comes tumbling out. And with that perception check, you see it enough that you're able to sort of move out of the way. You could even reach out and catch them if you wanted, because you also recognize this person. This person is not surprisingly named Bumble, and is wearing a very familiar, and this is probably why you were able to recognize him, wearing a very familiar oversized set of overalls. And you see them come tumbling out towards you, just in a jumbled mess. And Bumble is a Harengon. Bumble is a rabbit folk. So picture this sort of roughly around your age, maybe a little bit, maybe a year younger. And Bumble has what would normally be white fur, but Bumble spends a lot of time in the woods and digging through stuff, looking for things. So he's quite dirty. And he's got these sort of patchwork overalls as he sort of tumbles into you, and then kind of dusts himself off and looks up. And as he shakes his head, his ears kind of flop back and forth, and he looks up. Oh, jeez. Boy, am I lucky that was you, Togo. I didn't know who was there.
Well, Bumble, what are you doing playing in those bushes?
I wouldn't exactly call it playing, as he turns around and you see him tugging on a pole. Just give one moment, just give it a good taste. And he pulls it out, and as he does so, it swings around and smacks into you. And the beehive that was on the end of the stick bursts, and bees begin buzzing around, and Bumble immediately starts, oh dear, I'm so sorry, as bees are buzzing around you. And because you flipped odd, you flipped the opposite side of this coin, that is why you get stung 4 times by bees. Just a little bit of a sting. You got some pretty tough turtle hide, but they're enough to let you know that they're there. And of course you now have sticky honey down your front, and pieces of honeycomb, and some angry bees, and Bumble sitting there just goes, "Oh man!"
You see, if Bumble's like moving around a lot, Togo just kind of holds Bumble steady as he's being like stung. You gotta be careful. You gotta be still, Bumble. You're making the bees excited, and when they get excited, they think that we're trying to attack them, and then they are going to sting us. We gotta try and just keep calm. They don't want to hurt us, and they'll go away if we just walk calmly away from their home. And he guides Bumble, gets him to put down the stick with the hive on it, and kind of takes his shoulder and just calmly guides him away.
Jeez, Bumble. Jeez, Togo, I don't know how you can be so calm all the time. Oh dear. Oh dear. I think I got stung a few times. And you can see Bumble's nose and upper lips are just starting to puff up already. I better go home and see Mom about this. The reason I came out here was I just wanted to see you and just say good luck on your journeys, and hope to see you in a couple days. Ow, this hurts. Well, come see me when you get back, and have good luck. And Bumble kind of turns, and he kind of looks at the broken pieces of beehive, and he just kind of kicks at the ground with his with his large rabbit foot, and he just goes, "Oh shucks," and then just starts grumbling to himself as he kind of half runs and half hops along the way, disappearing off into the distance.
See Togo kind of like laugh to himself. Well, that Bumble, I tell you, he's going places. Maybe it's in a circle, but he's going places. As he continues on.
You continue on down the road, and we see as Togo is happily trudging along, sort of a montage. But this montage doesn't take us across Togo's 4-day journey to deliver paper. We see every so often an older Togo. We see Togo growing larger and stronger, and Togo's makeshift wooden club moving on up into more traditional weapons, as we now see an older Togo. Where is somewhere that Togo's wandering mind, what memory would this be of an older Togo?
I think it's definitely when he first, or his first couple days at the Temple of Timora. This is the interim between where Mizya, where they had gone. They were supposed to go travel, and this is where Togo went. He went to Waterdeep. When they got to Waterdeep, he went to the Temple of Timora. Okay. And yeah, and Togo walks in rather sheepishly. I think this is maybe his first time being in the temple itself. So he walks in and he's looking around rather reluctantly, trying to get the attention of anyone who is looks like they belong at the temple.
Go ahead and give me a flip of your coin while I grab a couple things.
That is another odd.
Okay. 1 second. While I'm looking something up, why don't you tell us what is on the other side? What comes up on the odd side of this coin?
Oh, okay. So I think this particular coin is very close to Togo, as it's probably something passed down. So one is obviously the heads is Timora, and the tails, I think it would be, it's a raven that has particularly always scared Togo when he always saw it when he was really little. Because then he would also see the ravens outside of his house and would, associate them with that kind of bad luck. So it would always kind of, the one eye always looking out of the coin really unnerved Togo. And though he wouldn't admit it, still does, even though he's older.
All right, so you have the place you found in you found yourself in Waterdeep is in the Sea Ward, and you have found yourself at what is it's called the Tower of Luck, but it is a complex that is actually many-pillared, a many-pillared atrium that is roofed over with glass. You see under this roof is a bronze sculpture of Tymora depicted as a laughing young halfling girl who appears to be leaping from the very top of an astounding fountain. As you are standing there, having entered this place, not sure, you're looking around this atrium. There's this fountain, and you can hear the sound of the water running and splashing in, and there's all around this fountain, there's just beautiful plants of all kinds growing up and around. You can see the light that comes in through the glass roof seems to reflect all around these many panes of glass. It's so much brighter in here than it was even outside. And you can go ahead and make a perception check.
21.
You notice a figure approaching you. This figure is a half-elf woman who appears to be probably in her late 50s. And she's a little hunched over. She walks with a cane. Even over the sound of the water, you can hear this thump, thump. And she seems to be coming deliberately up towards you. And she gets maybe a little too close, so that she has to sort of swivel her head up to look up at you. Well, are you going to tell me why you're here? Or are you going to make me guess?
Well, I have always been a very big fan of games, but maybe if you're not. I'm Togo. It's nice to meet you. I'm here looking for... Well, you see, and he brings out the coin, and he shows this old woman the face of Tymora on the front. Well, I'm a worshiper of Tymora as well. You could say maybe even a champion of her, because she has blessed me with her good luck for so many years. And well, I was just looking for someone to talk to. I'd like to help.
Well,
if I could.
She looks you up and down. She glances over at the fountain. They say that is good luck when entering the house of Tymora, that you toss a coin into the fountain and make a wish in the name of Tymora. And if you're lucky, and I think you might be, she'll grant your wish. And then she just kind of looks at you expectantly.
He looks at the coin and he's like, well, this does it have to be this coin, or can it be any?
There doesn't seem to be any preference to the coin. I see all manner of coins. I don't know why I'm talking like Togo all of a sudden. There seems to be all manner of coins down in there. Oh. I imagine you could take whatever other coin you have in your purse.
Well, all right. And he puts it back in the coin back into his shell, and he picks out another probably a silver coin from... All right. He approaches the fountain and holds the coin tightly in his hand, and scrunches his eyes shut. and he takes the coin and then he flips it into the water. And I can imagine that for this moment, because it's a dream, you can hear what Togo is thinking at this moment. And I wish more than anything else that I could spread my luck to those who I care about and protect them so that no harm will come to them ever again.
And as your coin flips through the air and lands in the water, you see that light that's reflecting all around, sort of catching the faces of this silver coin as it tumbles through the water, sort of drifting back and forth. And you notice that this halfling or half-elf woman is no longer standing near you. I need you to roll me a d20.
Okay.
And I would like you to do so with advantage.
Okay. 11.
Okay. And there's going to be a plus 10 to that. So that's going to be a 21. A elven woman who is seems to be also at least as far as an elf goes a little bit older. She begins to approach you, and you see that this woman seems to be wearing some sort of vestments with the emblem of Timora, the face-up coin, but the other woman is nowhere to be seen. And as this elven woman comes up to you, she says, "Hello, traveler, and welcome to the Tower of Luck. How may Timora bless you today?" And the camera begins to pan away, and we see as it does so, it sort of pulls outside through the entrance. And off to the side, we see the halfling woman who pulls back from, looks like she's pulling back a hood, but she's actually pulling back the graying hair and kind of shakes out longer hair. And she takes this cloak, that dusty cloak that she had on, and sort of flips it around, shakes out the dust, and the hunched form sort of stands upright as she opens up Togo's coin purse and is flipping through whatever coins Togo had, except for the Timora coin. Your entire coin purse is gone. As a half-elven woman just looks down and says, "Well, not as good as I would have hoped, but gotta keep the fingers nimble." And Anna disappears around the corner. Couldn't resist the urge.
I love it.
In this moment, as this figure of this cut purse is walking away, we see the panels of the atrium of Timora begin to peel away. The framing, individual panes of glass begin to pull, almost like a exploded view, exploded diagram of the place, as they start to sort of fall and just drift off into what is now this void of blackness. And all that is left, as the camera sort of moves and swirls and these pieces are just sort of moving away, the camera comes in again, swirling around until we see just Togo standing there. And in the distance, still towering, immensely huge in this void, looking down on Togo, is the petrified version of Togo. Give me another coin flip.
That is another odd.
And in this moment, as we see the figure of Togo having just flipped the coin, we see this coin tumbling through the air. Tymora, Raven, Tymora, Raven, Tymora, Raven. It lands in the outstretched hands of not Togo, but a figure who has fingers that are slightly elongated. The hand is wrinkled, the knuckles are knobby and bony. The nails are long and sharp, like talons almost. The sleeve of whatever garment this figure wears, the end of it, the cuffs, are ruffled like black feathers as the coin lands face up. And then a voice says to you, "Wow. It seems as though the Raven comes up more often than not."
Does Togo just hear that voice, or is he like in this emptiness?
So for the moment you hear that voice, you can turn to look at the figure that has caught your coin.
Yep, Togo would.
You see a very statuesque looking woman of humanoid features. She's tall. She has dark hair, pale features. She has an elegance to her, but there's something in the way that she looks down at you, because she is much taller than you. There is something in the way that she looks down at you through her almost like, I don't know how to describe it. Like her eyes are not fully open. They're like hooded, I guess hooded eyes is what I'm trying to say. And she's sort of looking down at you. She has this sort of darkness about her. And she wears just sort of long, dark robes, and you see around the collar more of these black feathers, and around the cuffs and around the hem, as she says this to you.
You know, I don't really remember those things happening. I don't remember the last time I was unlucky. I've always had good luck.
The bony hands hold up the coin and just sort of taking this coin, holding it up like this, and just sort of turning it back and forth, looking at the side with the raven, and then flips it to look, and you see, as she looks at the face of Tymora, she looks just the corner of her mouth just turns up in a bit of a sneer. Two sides there are to this coin, and you're trying to tell me that every time you flip it, you see her face.
That's right. Tymora's always been watching over me.
So what of these other memories?
You see Togo, like, his brow is furrowed and he just looks really confused, and he scratches his head and, well, I'm not quite sure. You know, the mind plays funny tricks on you. Sometimes you don't remember what you want to forget and all that.
Are you familiar with the term willful ignorance?
Well, that sounds like a pretty big word. I don't know.
For every time that you have been blessed by the luck of this woman, 3 times as often, the raven is perched on your shoulder. It seems as though Lady Luck has not been as advantageous or present as you like to remember.
No, that can't be right. Why am I blessed by her? I have all of these abilities that I can do because of her, because she grants me the luck to be able to take care of my friends. No, I that can't be true. That and he like you can see that he tries to like do something like that would normally cause some type of um spell or something that he tries maybe a bit of his smite. Yeah, he tries to manifest that in his hand and uh comes up as nothing. Nothing
What's the
happens.
weapon that Togo currently has?
He has a mace. No,
So,
yeah.
as you hold that mace, you attempt to call upon the blessing of Timora to imbue your mace with the smite that you have done before many times. You see instead the head of the mace corrodes. It turns to stone. Ah, that is the great allure and delusion of Timora. And she moves, still sort of twisting the coin around. She takes your hand and with one hand kind of holds it under your hand. She places the coin in your hand, raven side up. And then she lets go of your hand and she sort of moves behind you, just sort of draping her arm across the back of your shoulders around your shell. And as she crosses over to the other side, moving behind you, she gently puts a little pressure on your shoulder, just enough, trying to turn you around, as if to say, turn around and face me. Do you allow that?
I think yes, he would turn, but as he's doing so, he's like, "But you don't understand. If I don't have luck, how am I supposed to be able to protect my friends?" He says as he's turning.
And as you turn, she says, "Protecting your friends is an admirable trait. But where was your friend when you were supposed to meet them?"
Well, Mizya, they were busy. They you know they do their own thing, and that's understandable.
"And where are your friends now?" As you turn around and she has that one hand on your shoulder and she kind of crouches down like an adult to a child and saying, "Look over there," as she points into the distance to the towering figure of Togo, petrified, alone in the void. No one is there, none of your friends. That is what Lady Luck has gotten you. You need to first watch out for yourself. Put yourself first.
But my mama always said that when you're dangling over a cliff, you're going to have to trust somebody to hold on to your hand to pull you back up. And if I'm by myself and I rely on myself, there's no way that I would be able to get back up or out.
You rely on the others, and you will find yourself more often than not in that scenario, plunging to the bottom of the ravine. Or that helping hand will take all the glory for themselves. They will be the hero that saved Togo, who was foolish enough to find himself dangling over a cliff. But no, you reach up and dig at the earth with your own fingers, and you pull yourself up. You're the one who survived a near-death experience. You're stronger for it. Sometimes we have to make our own luck.
You see, Togo has his brow furrowed as he's kind of, at that last part especially, he slowly begins to nod. Maybe that's what the priest that I spoke with at Tamora's, maybe that's what they were talking about when they said that I need to choose my own adventure. I need to prove myself. Maybe that's what they were referring to. Maybe it wasn't saving my friends.
Maybe. So many questions for you, Togo. Do you know what a maybe is? A maybe is the flipping of the coin in the air. Maybe is the what if, maybe is the what could be, maybe is nothing. What matters is what decision you make and who you put your trust in. Do you put it all in the hope of luck, knowing that there's just as much of a chance? The raven turning up. Or do you take your fate into your own hands and trust yourself? Do you trust me?
Oh, well, I don't even know who you are, and I'm so sorry. I feel like you know me, but I don't know you, so I'd like to make introductions first.
Oh, I've been watching your journey for a very long time, Togo. I've been with you all along. You've never known me, but I've always been there. Sometimes I have been called Black Bess, Lady Doom, the Maid of Misfortune, but you can call me. And she takes an exaggerated bow, and as she looks up at you and grins, Beshaba. And there is a flipping, the sound of a coin flipping through the air. And as that coin flips through the air, the coin comes down to land in the palm. Whoops, that is the wrong button. Where did it go? Comes down to land in the palm of a halfling woman's hand. As we are now transitioning to Silvery Moon. And the coin has just landed in an older, I won't say elderly, an older halfling woman's hand. Where in Silvery Moon is Marda, and what is Marda doing?
Marda is in the middle of teaching a class, and this class is on the different it is a class on the different deities, and they are looking at Timora. And Marda, and this class is something that is very common for worshippers of Timora to take around with them as a coin. They believe that the luck, Lady Luck, is on their side, and is something that they keep as a reminder of her goodwill and her, the fickle nature that luck can bring sometimes. And I think just as she says that, some type of bell or rings or a sound happens. All right, class, remember to read chapters 1 and 2. There is going to be a quiz tomorrow on some of the other gods that we have gone through so far. So make sure you do your reading, and I will see you all tomorrow.
As soon as that bell sounds, and I imagine it's sort of a permanent enchantment that's a variation on the simple alarm spell that rings to let the students know. You hear that immediate shuffling of parchment and books being shoved into book bags, and people gathering up their things. And as the class begins filing out, you see that there is somebody standing at the door that is sort of politely waiting for everybody to go by, all of the students, so that they can come in to see you as you are sort of at your desk. Who is this person that would be probably considered your boss? I don't remember if I gave you a boss. Did I give you a boss?
I don't think so.
I was looking through our notes to see. Oh, you can tell me who this is.
Okay. This would be a elven man who is the head of the particular faculty that Marda teaches in, which is the faculty of I'm thinking.
Would it be like?
I'm trying to.
Is Marda's specialty in deities and pantheon?
It would be deities as well as like the stars. So I guess like astrology and that kind of. So it'd be like that kind of celestial. I think she teaches like celestial things. I think would be her topic.
We'll call it celestial studies.
Celestial. I like that. Yeah, celestial studies.
Okay. And this man, just for fun, roll me 2d20s and give me each number separately.
Okay.
By the way, if you didn't figure it out, that That roll with advantage with the +10, the 21 was you were rolling for Anna to steal Togo's money, by the way.
Yeah. That's a 4 and a 12.
4. Okay, so that means this man's name in a 12.
Mm-hmm.
This is Ferrand Emaru.
Okay.
So you see the department head, Professor Amaru, standing, and he waits for the last of the students to sort of shuffle by. Of course, there's that one. How old are your students? This is more of like a college level?
Yeah, this would be a college level, but I would imagine that this is probably like a 100 level course, so they're still pretty young, but yeah.
So yeah, there's probably the one probably a human who's probably like 18 or 19 that is, of course, as Professor Amaru is about to come in, his book strap comes undone and he has to wait for him, and Professor Amaru sort of helps him to pick up his stuff, and then he scoots on out of there, and Amaru just sort of shakes his head. Ah, well, Marda, I hope I am not interrupting you. I believe your office hours are coming up next period.
Yes, that is right. You may walk with me if you wish.
To your office, I suspect.
She nods.
Excellent. That is where I was going to request that we go anyway.
Perfect. Great minds think alike is what I hear them saying.
Yes, that is what they say. So, you've been how long have you been with us now?
Well, it will be... What do they have? They have, like, years? No.
Are you talking about the school, Faerun?
Faerun. Like,
yeah, it's
I would
years.
imagine... Okay.
The current year is 1492 Dale Reckoning.
Okay. I imagine I have been here... I think this is my 5th year.
And you enjoy your classes and teaching with the celestial studies, the pantheons, and the workings of the gods? It's fulfilling work for you?
It is very interesting. I find it fascinating, and it is always very nice to see, the little the students who obviously have come from their own village, who have never heard of any of these, and their little superstitions that come with it is always very, very interesting to see. So yes, I do very much enjoy what I'm doing.
Do you ever find yourself wanting to get out there and experience the workings of the deities firsthand?
No, I have experienced enough deities for a lifetime, you could say.
Interesting. Well, I believe this is your office.
Yes. She walks in and gestures for Professor Amaru to come inside as well.
As you walk into your room, describe what your personal office looks like.
I imagine it's one of those like very typical like professor very small books and papers and scrolls absolutely shoved, packed into tall bookcases. There's obviously a few ladders for Marda to try and get at the books. But on her desk is just covered in different star charts and various manuscripts and scrolls. And there's a dying plant that's in the corner of the room as well. And so it looks it's very dusty, it's very cluttered, but it's just full of information.
And this is probably one of those things where, despite all the chaos, you know where everything is. Everything is where it is because that's where you put it. And even if you have to dig through piles of stuff, you know where that particular scroll is, or that piece of parchment, or that book, or whatever it is you may be looking for. Make me a perception check.
12.
So as you lead Professor Amaru into your office, there are two things that are out of place. One, your high-backed office chair is turned with the back facing the door, so it is facing the window. And two, there is a hat that is resting on the edge of your desk, on top of one of your teetering piles of papers and stuff. Go ahead.
You can see that Marda, like, for a second stiffens as she thinks this might be someone that she has known in the past, or afraid of that, but she tries to keep it as it, no reaction at all, as she just walks in and she looks to Professor Amaru. Listen, is everything okay? You seem a little more questiony than usual.
Well, I must admit that were you otherwise engaged, I was going to insist that we come to your office. There is somebody I would like you to meet. At which point your desk chair turns around, and an individual stands up abruptly and immediately says, "Hello, my name is 6 Days into Summer, but you can call me Six. And it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance." You see a tabaxi that is of a Maine Coon variety. Now, I don't have to explain to you what 6 Days looks like, but for the audience, very thick grays, shades of gray fur on his face, and his his ears are very, very fuzzy, and very, very long hair on his paws. He wears a very bold blue and gold crushed velvet suit, which he also wears a bits of leather armor, and you can see that there are at least 3 or 4 places where it almost looks like knife or sword holes have been stitched with gold thread. And the hat that's perched on your desk is a very wide-brimmed hat with a large purple feather coming out of it. And he comes out from around behind your desk and holds out his paw to you as he says, "It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance."
As Marda reaches out her hand, she turns to Professor Amaru and, it is not my birthday yet. You didn't need to get me a bard to sing me a song.
You are right, Amaru. I like her already. Singing is not my specialty. I can do this. It is not something that I excel in. I am more of a dancer, and he sort of pantomimes a flourish with a sword. But that is not why I am here today. No, it is not your birthday. At least I don't think it is. You said it wasn't, so it is probably not your birthday. It is not a work anniversary, as they say. No, I am here for very important business. And Professor Amaru was so kind as to show me into your office so that I could have a chance to meet with you.
All right. What is this about?
Professor Amaru, I thank you so much for facilitating this meeting, but beyond this, I'm afraid we'll have to remain strictly between myself and Professor Grasshand. If you do understand. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Professor Amaru kind of looks apologetically at you, Marda, and then says, "Come see me before you leave," and quickly exits your office, closing the door behind him, leaving you alone with 6 days into summer. 6 motions to one of the guest chairs across from your desk for you to sit down.
Yeah, she holds up a finger and she's like, "If you don't mind, I would like to make some tea first. Would you like some?" And she points to one of like a little like station, like a little like cart with like various like a kettle and some cups and a little bowl for sugar cubes and.
Oh, tea would be simply delightful. I am absolutely terrible at making this stuff myself, but I so very much enjoy it when somebody who knows what they are doing. Yes, I would like to partake in your tea ceremony or tea time or whatever it is.
Marda smiles, nods, and begins to make the process or do the process of making this tea. And she's like, but you do not have to pause your whatever you're going to tell me on my account. Please go ahead. I'm listening.
Yes, of course. I love it. Somebody who can multitask. This is excellent. So, I'm certain that you are not expecting to see me here, and I can understand if you are pretending like you haven't heard my name before. I'm kind of a big deal in Waterdeep. Word of my exploits had probably spread near and far across the realms. But let us not let celebrity get in the way of what I have to tell you today. It is, well, as we are very aware, you are an expert in... You are an expert in what they call the celestial studies, the workings of the gods, what the gods are up to, and how they came to be, and all of these. Well, listen to me trying to tell the professor what it is that she does. You know what you do better than anybody, but you would say that you are an expert in this, yes?
Yes, I would, as
Excellent.
a matter of fact.
Excellent. That is exactly what I was hoping for, and exactly what my research has led me to believe. So, what are they up to? The gods. What are they up to? What are they getting up to these days?
Oh, mostly having drinking contests, playing some kind of there's this little sport with a ball that you kick around sometimes, and there's a net and stuff like that. She like grins.
He kind of gives you a little bit of a side eye. He goes, you are being facetious. You have a sense of humor. This is good. This will serve you well. Okay. You have to have noticed that there has been a bit of there's been a lot of peculiar things happening around Faerun in the last couple of years, and the gods have been involved in some of this. No doubt you have heard about Ubtao having recently left the people of Chult without a deity to follow. Who knows what's going to happen in that place in the next few decades. There was some... there was that unfortunate business down around Baldur's Gate. Something is happening with the city of El Terrell. It is said that the very hells have swallowed the city up. I don't know, I don't make my way south very often, but... and there has been a lot of talk of goings-on up in the north, up in Icewind Dale, for the better part of 2 years. Oriel the Frost Maiden plunged Icewind Dale into darkness and everlasting winter. But a band of heroic adventurers has put an end to her. But they haven't been seen in who knows how long. They just vanished off the face of the earth, and now there's rumblings that some sort of dragon god is manifesting in the north. Now I'm hearing rumblings that there may be involvement from the Raven Queen. There's other forces at work in the Shadowfell that are stealing souls away from the Raven Queen. Tymora and Bishaba are up to no good here and there and starting to push their way into the material realm a bit more. All of this is a bit disconcerting, would you say?
I have heard some of those rumblings. Many. It seems as though, yes, the gods seem to be a little bit restless. A little bit, they do as they wish. Maybe they're all bored. Playing a game of answering people's prayers and granting them wishes and miracles. Maybe we got a little bit too old for them, and they're, wanting to be a little bit more, how should I say, hands-on.
I think we both know that it is a little bit more than the gods just playing at answering prayers. The gods are indeed becoming restless, but we don't know what it is that they are up to. And, well, recently, we sent an agent down to the Silverwood. It's a couple days south of here. There is a place known as the Temple of the Restful Lily. It is a quiet little day spa, night spa. You can get the facials and get your nails done. I could work on your physical body, whatever. This agent, we'll call him Dusk. He had a suspicion that his friend that ran this Temple of the Restful Lily, that he hadn't heard from for a while, was looking into what's going on there, and then poof, we lose contact with him. And sometimes it is not uncommon that we would lose contact with an agent, but well, Dusk was somebody who was keeping in touch with us on a regular basis. Oh my goodness, I need this, this tea smells wonderful. I needed to clear my mind a little bit. I didn't even tell you I'm talking about agents and all of this, and you don't even know what I'm talking about, do you? I get a little bit ahead of myself so much. I love to tell this story. Sometimes I let I skip right to the good parts. I represent an organization known as the Harpers. Perhaps you have heard of us. I will let you decide if you have heard of the Harpers, or you could roll a history check if you wanted to see if you've heard of them.
Would it be okay with you? Because I would imagine Marda has spent quite a bit of time in her past in Waterdeep. So I would imagine that she, and given her past, has probably had a run-in with at least one Harper. And has probably heard whisperings, at least, maybe one of those, like, not sure what's true, what's not true kind of thing. She pauses as she's, like, turning to give Six his tea. She pauses for a moment. Yes, I have heard of the Harpers before.
Yes, well, at different times in the past, the Harpers they've been around for a very long time, for about 1,000 years. Okay? And some in their early days, they were like, oh, we are called Harpers, and we will take up the secret sign, and we will have secret handshakes and meet in secret, and nobody will know who we are. And that didn't go off so well over the years. There's been a few resurgences and slipping into the shadows and disappearing for a while. But for the most part, we are keeping the organization alive throughout the realms. We do, of course, have a major office in Waterdeep, in Neverwinter. I'm a little bit concerned about our office down in Baldur's Gate. I don't know what is going on down there, but that is for those agents to figure out. And let's just say, Professor Grasshands, that it was kind of a loaded question. I know you know who the Harpers are, and I know you have been on the wrong side of those encounters, or rather, wrong side as far as the Harpers are concerned. But we are not going to get into that today.
She blinks.
Oh, go ahead.
She blinks. I think Marda will say, when you said you have done your research, I see that you were not just talking about my papers I have published.
Oh, yes. We have a bit of an awareness of your studies. Look, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. And he kind of picks up a couple pieces of paper. This stuff, I'm more of a student and an expert of the oral tradition. The passing of stories through word of mouth, gathered around the fire, or better yet, on a stage in a very crowded tavern or auditorium. That's more my area of expertise. I'm not so much with the reading of the parchments and the books, but my associate and business partner, Bevin, he is very well read, and he has read a lot of your papers, and I have had him explain to me what some of them are. Suffice it to say that for our organization, we are aware of where a lot of the research you have done, and we are aware of the, shall we call them, ink stains on your historical record. Nonetheless, it is the culmination of all of these things that has led me to approach you today. Being a foremost authority on the ways and the maneuverings of the gods, and he kind of looks over at you. He's like, two lumps of sugar, if you don't mind, and just a dollop of milk. Okay, if I'm going to be honest, $2. Oh yes, this is perfect. And he says, we want you to come work for us. Oh, this is very good. What is that?
It is called tea, she says as she. And it is just a little bit of sage, rosemary, a little bit of dried cranberry as well, and I'm sorry. You want me to come work for the Harpers? She says.
Oh, yes. Yes, that is exactly why I have come here today. We would like to. We believe that your historical record, as I was mentioning, serves very well as a sort of well, you as a professor would understand a sort of like an entrance exam, or you sort of get to test out of the preliminary initiation phases. Your record speaks for itself, and we think you would be a very good asset towards the cause. But more importantly, we think it would put you out into the world and to let you put your expertise into practice.
Listen, Six, I am flattered that you think that my experience is worthwhile to consider to join your club. But you must understand, when I left that life and I came in here, and I am a teacher now, and she is like looking at all of the books and kind of running her hand through the parchment that she has, and I swore that I would not go back to anything close to what I had been living before.
Did you know? And he just sort of cuts in and starts talking as if he's just completely paying no mind to what you have just said. Did you know that over 1,000 years ago, it was some of the elven leaders of Myth Draenor that were the very first Harpers, and that their first meetings of the organization, because they wanted to keep it secret, they would hold them in the very wee hours as the light of the setting sun was fading. And because of this, the original name of the Harpers was the Harpers of Twilight.
As Six says this, you can see from like Marda's shoulder a small firefly, like that golden light of a firefly, just ever so gently appears in this spark of light, and is perched just on her shoulder as he says that. It is very fascinating. I did not know that.
The purpose of the Harpers, because we do have an overarching sort of unified purpose, is one of, overall, we are dedicated to promoting good, preserving history through art and music, maintaining the balance between civilization and nature. That's more politics stuff, making sure kingdoms don't become too big and overflow their borders and all that sort of, keeping dictators and warlords at bay. But overall, the Harpers are dedicated to the prevention of evil, wherever it begins to rear its head. Whether this is in the form of evil artifacts, evil factions or organizations. And he takes another sip of the tea. Is this raw sugar? Is that what makes it taste so good? Whatever it is, and whatever you do, don't change it. I think this is just perfect tea. With that in mind of what it is that we do, we came to you also because you have a certain expertise in things of a darker nature. I would be correct in saying this, would I not?
Marda doesn't say anything. She has turned away from Six at this point. But you can... Yeah, she, like, inclines her head ever so slightly.
There is an up-and-coming group of adventurers. They are, without a doubt, one of the most mismatched group of personalities that I have ever seen. And somehow they are finding themselves at the heart of this business, with particularly having to do with the involvement of the Raven Queen and whatever is going on with something is siphoning souls in the Shadow Dark. One of their members is, as I understand, has been tasked with delving into some of this information, but he seems to have found himself in a pretty difficult predicament. And, well, all of them, it sounds like things are getting pretty dicey. They could use some help. I would like to know what is going on with Dusk. I want to know what is going on at the Temple of the Restful Lily. And I would like to know, from your professional opinion, what is going on with the involvement of all of these gods. What's got them riled up? What's got them pressing their faces against the veil between the material plane and whatever planes they reside upon? And we think you are the perfect person for this job.
Even after all of the things that I have done, the people I have hurt, you still trust me to look into something that I am and was at one time very familiar with.
Did you know that one of my very best friends in the whole wide world is a very high-ranking individual in one of the organizations that the Harpers directly opposes? People take their expertise wherever it comes from. She has spent a lot of time in the underworld. She continues to spend a lot of time in the underworld. Did you know that I myself have had dealings with Jaraxel Bainri and Brigandertha? Perhaps you heard about that whole business with Daggled Neverember in Waterdeep and all that 500,000 gold dragons that were being stolen and all that stuff. I'm sure you've heard about it. We tried to keep our names out of the papers, but it was myself and my friends that were involved in that. And not all of us have the squeakiest clean of records. But we all put our knowledge and our expertise together, and we found out that we worked really well together, and we were able to accomplish the goals that we set out for. And I am not one to hold against somebody the deeds of their past. You have spent the last 5 years here teaching the ways of the deities, and your knowledge, imparting it upon now 5 years of students here at the College of Silverymoon. And you have, what, 4, 5 classes a day? 30 students in a class? Semesters? How many hundreds or thousands of minds and souls have you influenced over the last 5 years? Professor Imaru and the rest of the faculty, they trust you with the students here. I have heard no information of anything going wrong in all the time you have been here. None of your pupils yet have turned out to be an evil wizard or dark cleric or oathbreaker paladin or any such thing as this. I think that speaks very much to your character these days. What I am saying is we want to give you a chance to get out into the world and to practice. Put your expertise into practice because, well, I'll be honest, I think this band of misfits could benefit from your wisdom and your presence. And I think your talents are being wasted here.
I think just as he says that, Marda is running her hand along the spines of the different books, and her hand rests on a particular book. And it just says on the spine, it says, The Morning Lord on it. She pauses again, and you can see that the fireflies have gotten a few more. There's a few that have begun to pop up and are flitting across the office. There's a pause, a very long pause before I owe a great debt to someone, and I believe that this will help me repay it. And she finally turns towards Six and says, very well, I will help you and the Harpers.
Excellent. I had a suspicion that you would find this too good of an offer to refuse. He reaches into the pocket of his vest and he pulls something out and he flips it like a coin towards you.
She catches it.
As you catch it, you see that he has quickly grabbed his large floppy hat and just puts it on his head. I have already talked to Professor Imaru, and he is making the arrangements to have somebody begin to take the rest of your classes. I'll give you until morning to gather what you'll need, and you can meet me. You can meet me out front, and I will have the last of what you need to send you on your way. I look very much forward to hearing what you have to say and what you have found. May the blessings of, I don't know, Timora and Lethander guide your way. And he gives a deep bow, and he turns and leaves the office, leaving you alone with these fireflies.
You see Marda take a deep breath in, then out. And she looks around her office for a few moments in the silence just to take everything in. And then she grabs her cloak. There is an old staff that is leaning by one of the shelves that she takes. And just as she reaches for it, she looks and she sees a box on the shelf. And she can hear the whispers from within this box calling to her. She sees she can almost see the tendrils of darkness seeping out from this box, and the box is covered in these dark arcane symbols. She almost reaches for it, but then she shakes her head, moves her hand, grabs the staff, and whirls out of her office, heading towards Professor Amaru's.
And the item that Six flipped to you, you would see, is a small silver pin that holds. It has sort of embossed on it the one of the symbols of the symbol that represents the I've completely lost the name of the college here. At Silvery Moon.
Silvery Moon, yeah.
The I want to say it's called the Court of Sages, I think, or something like that. But it has that symbol upon it. And as you run your fingers across it, you feel a little bit of movement, and you find that you can sort of push on it, put a little bit of pressure on it, and that symbol slides to the side, and it's concealing underneath it another symbol, which is a crescent moon and a harp, the symbol of the harpers. Six has given you a harper's pin disguised as a pin of Silvery Moon.
Awesome. Yeah, she fastens that. She uses that to fasten her cloak.
And as you turn and exit your office, giving that one last look, the door closes, and we see Marda Grasshand with cloak and staff walking down this long marbled hall. There's sort of these arches with tall windows on either side. One of the halls that leads into another part of where the faculty are. But we stay there at the office of Marda as she walks away from the camera, and the last thing we hear is this sort of fading sound of Marda's staff as we hear and that's where we're going to end this session. Oh man, did you know you were going to get to meet 6 days in the summer?
Oh, it's so exciting. I loved it.
When we talked about the idea that that Marda was working as an agent of the Harpers, I thought, there is no better person that I can think of to introduce, because for those that don't know, 6 Days in the Summer is a character I played for, I think we played for the better part of 2 years in our Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign, and briefly as we had a false start on a Dungeon of the Mad Mage campaign, and of course Anna was M's half-elf rogue and absolute best friend in the whole wide world to 6 Days Until Summer. Don't tell her that. No, I thought six was perfect. I've missed playing him, and I've wanted to bring him into this campaign at some point, just as an NPC quest giver kind of thing. So this was perfect. So thank you for indulging me in that. But no, this was a lot of fun. We got to see a little bit more of what's going on with Togo, as well as Marda. Be prepared, because once this episode has aired, Carrie is going to be plying you for information. Yeah, that's the other thing I love about these one-on-ones is we get a chance for the other players to sort of see, as an audience member, things that their characters don't know, and to see how these things that are revealed, how they shape our campaign and our character development and all of that. So I hope you enjoyed all of this. I know I certainly did. One of the things I really like is just the creative give and take that we get to have in these one-on-one sessions. We don't always get to have this in depth when you have 5 players in a 2.5 hour game. So I love doing these, and it's a great way to dig into those characters, and we hope you, the audience, enjoyed this as well. The reminder: the next Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern will be, I believe I said it was going to be Mizya is going to be next, and we will be back in January with live shows, probably starting on the 9th or something like that. I don't know. Stay tuned. We'll have more information about when we're going to be returning live. Future Jake is already queuing up a raid for somebody there. So that's my wink wink nudge nudge for Future Jake to go, oh yeah, I gotta raid somebody. So yeah, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you to all of the lovely people in chat, including our future selves. And if you are somebody that likes to lurk quietly in the background, we thank you as well. And we hope you enjoy our presentation. And of course, a huge thank you to M. This was an amazing session, and our first time getting to do this one-on-one. I had a blast, and super excited to see where these stories go. But thank you, M, without whom this would have just been me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we'll go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.
Bye.